Welcome to the Friday Night Campfire Stories. My name is Rob and I will be your host for this evening. Here on my channel, we try to keep our weeks as creepy as possible all throughout the week. And on Fridays, I share a chapter from one of my short stories that I wrote. And although they're creepy or eerie or just scary, they're not real. They're made up, but the real terrors lie in everyday lives and happen to people just like you and me, to the people who least expect it. That's why every single Wednesday, we do a deep dive into a new true crime case. This is my series, Far From Fiction. The Mystery of the Lady of the Dunes, one of the most infamous, unsolved murder cases in U.S. history, which haunted Provincetown, Massachusetts for nearly 50 years. On July 26, 1974, a young girl stumbled upon a gruesome discovery in the Race Point Dunes of Provincetown, Massachusetts. The victim, a woman estimated between 20 and 40 years old, was lying face down on a beach blanket. Her hands were missing, her head partially decapitated, and her skull crushed, likely with a military-style entrenching tool. Signs suggested possible strangulation and sexual assault. A bandana and jeans were neatly placed under her head. Her toenails were painted pink, and she had expensive gold crowns in her mouth. Estimated somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 worth of teeth work indicated a high-quality dental work dubbed as New York style. Authorities faced immediate obstacles. The removal of her hands prevented fingerprint identification. No missing person reports matched her description. Over the decades, investigators exhumed her body multiple times, employing techniques like clay reconstruction and DNA testing. Leads included potential mob connections and other missing persons, but these repeatedly led to dead ends. One of the early theories was one of Tony Costa was the murderer. He was a serial killer in the Boston area around that time. However, it was shut down due to the fact that he died in May of 1974 and the girl had been found in July of 1974. Another theory stood place for many years that it was a mobster by the name of Whitey Bulger, who was known for removing teeth of his victim. Eyewitnesses stated they saw a girl who resembled the reconstructed pictures of the girl with Whitey around the same time that she had went missing. Whitey never claimed to the murder, and he actually died in prison in 2018. One of the more bizarre theories surfaced in 2015, though, when writer Joe Hill, who is the son of horror legend Stephen King, actually speculated that she may have appeared as an extra in the movie Jaws, which was filmed around the time of her death. He believed that she could have been involved in the 4th of July scene for the movie.
Best-selling horror writer Joe Hill, son of legendary writer Stephen King, has been fascinated by the mystery for years. One theory he has is that the Lady of the Dunes could actually be an extra in the iconic movie Jaws. Is that her in this scene with a bunch of other extras leaving a ferry? Notice, she's wearing a blue bandana and jeans, the same clothes found at the Lady of the Dunes murder site.
The woman in that moment bore a striking resemblance to the facial reconstruction of the dead woman, of the Lady of the Dunes.
Jaws was shot on Martha's Vineyard in May of 1974.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
The woman's body was found 2 months later, about 100 miles away in Provincetown.
While intriguing, the theory remained unverified and believed not to be true. In October of 2022, advancements in investigative genealogy finally revealed her identity: Ruth Marie Terry, a 37-year-old woman from Tennessee.
Attorney Josh Levy. We are standing here today to announce that after nearly a half-century of investigative efforts, we have identified the oldest unidentified homicide victim in Massachusetts, known as the Lady of the Dunes. She is Ruth Marie Terry from Tennessee, who was just 37 years old at the time of her death. The FBI identified Ruth using investigative genealogy. This is a unique method that can generate new leads for unsolved homicides, as well as help identify unknown victims. This is, without a doubt, a major break in the investigation that will, hopefully, bring all of us closer to identifying the killer.
Ruth's life was pieced together. She was born in 1936 in Whitehall, Tennessee, in a mountainside shack. Her parents died at a young age, and she ended up getting married young as well. The marriage was short-lived, and she moved to Livonia, Michigan, where she worked for the Fisher Body automotive plant. Ruth gave birth to a son, Richard, in 1958, however, was in no financial point in her life to take care of him, so she allowed her boss to adopt the child. In February 1974, Ruth was married to a guy named Guy Rockwell Moldovan, a man with a dark past, including suspicions surrounding the disappearance of his second wife and her daughter. With this newfound information due to DNA testing, Ruth's husband, Guy Moldovan, emerged as the prime suspect. His history included accusations of fraud, domestic abuse, and connection to other suspicious disappearances. In the summer of 1974, the summer after the two got married, Guy went to Tennessee to tell her family that Ruth had gone missing from their California home. He stayed for a few days and told the family that he didn't know where she had gone. Ruth's brother even went to California himself and hired a private investigator to find his sister. The investigator told him that all of her stuff had been sold and she had left the state to join a cult. Investigators believe it was likely that Guy had killed Ruth, possibly motivated by financial gain or other personal reasons. Moldovan, however, had passed away in 2002, leaving many questions unanswered. The information we have about Guy was that he was born in 1923. He worked as a professor in New York City when he met his future wife, Joellen, in Pennsylvania. The couple bounced from New York City, California, and Seattle. Guy became a DJ while living in Seattle, but the couple divorced in 1956. He then married another woman 2 years later named Manzanita, who had an 18-year-old daughter. Soon after the marriage, the mother and daughter had disappeared. Guy fled Seattle and was later arrested for failing to give testimony to their disappearance. Guy then married another woman named Evelyn in Los Angeles. They would actually get married twice. The first time they were married, he was charged with larceny for swindling his third wife's family out of $10,000, right around the time that his second wife had went missing. He was sentenced to 15 years, but the judge suspended the sentence as long as Guy could pay the money back, which he did. Also, real quick, we got to give a shout out to true crime writer Ann Rule, who actually said that Guy may have been the killer all the way back in 2007 in her book Smoke, Mirrors, and Murder. She brought up Guy's past and how he should have been charged with the Ryan Mearns investigation murder. However, he never was because they couldn't prove that. This was kind of crazy to me. They couldn't prove that the missing women belonged to the body parts that were found in Guy's septic tank. Ann Rule also stated that he supposedly married a woman named Terry around the time that they actually did, which Terry, of course, is the last name of Ruth, so she had just gotten the last name and first name mixed up, but she had the right thinking and the right path, and she actually kind of knew it long before the actual investigators did. Guy is also a prime suspect in the murder of Henry Baird and Barbara Kelly. There are a few details that seem to be missing from what I can call a closed case, but I would lean to say that Guy was the one who killed Ruth. I'm a little lost on the whole timeline though. It's just strange that Ruth had bounced around so much all over the US, and it's kind of strange how she ended up in Massachusetts. And what was the thing with the private investigator stating something about a cult? Now, it is possible that maybe that's just where Guy went on vacation sometimes. He did live in New York City for a long time. Massachusetts, New York City, not too far from each other. I could see where maybe that would be his vacation home, but it does just seem a little strange to me that where she ended up. The other thing is there's one other suspect that actually admitted to the murder. Haddon Clark confessed to the murders in the early 2000s. He even led police to the spot where he had left 2 bodies 20 years prior and also confessed to killing many others in the Massachusetts area. The alarming thing to me is that he actually sent a letter to a friend stating that he had killed many others and even had pictures of his drawings of a handless naked girl laying in a ditch and actually left a map of where he left her. The main reason Haddon was written off was because he dealt with schizophrenia. Although there do seem to be some hiccups in the story, it does seem to me that they do have the correct killer. It's just unfortunate that he was laid to rest over 20 years ago and was able to live his life to the fullest while Ruth's dismembered body was not identified. I'd like to take a second to commend the scientists involved in the DNA testing advancements. It's so important that these older unsolved cases become solved once and for all. These people left with names like the boy in the box or the lady in the dunes may never fully be known what the events were that led up to their deaths, but they can at least have their name back. That is going to do it for today. I hope that you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to click that like button, hit that subscribe button. We keep our weeks as creepy as possible 3 days every single week. On Mondays, we do an episode of Echoes of the Past, which is where we go into a dive into the history of a certain haunted location and why it may be haunted, who it's haunted by, and also what events happened at these locations. And then every single Wednesday, of course, we do an episode of what we did today, Far From Fiction, my true crime series. And then every Friday, we experience a new chapter from one of my short stories. So if any of that interests you, be sure to click that subscribe button and also click that like button. It'll help me out a lot. It'll mean a lot to me. But yes, that'll do it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, thank you for spending a little bit of your day here with me.